alright, Habibi, so one of the things that I like to do is to look at the elites, right? Look at the elites, see what they're doing, and just be like, why are they doing these things? Because the elites, they obviously know more things than us, and that's why they have like so much control over the people. So I like to just see what they're doing and just be like, can I implement this stuff in my life? And if I do actually implement it in my life, like what changes will I see? So just recently I came across this guy, his name is Manly Palmer Hall. So this is one of those Canadian people, like Canadian authors or mystics or whatever. So this guy used to be like amongst the Freemasons. Now if you don't know who the Freemasons are, you could say technically like these guys are the elites. Now these are the guys that control media, these are the guys that were actually creating societies, they create nations. Basically it's a club, a small club that controls the entire world. Like you can literally think of it that way just to simplify it for you. Now what's crazy is that if you want to join the Freemasons club, there are ranks. Like there are certain ranks that you gotta reach, and the highest rank is called the 33rd degree Mason. So once you reach the 33rd degree Mason, that just means like you know everything about Freemasonry. You know everything about what these people do. You know exactly their teachings, and you know exactly how they're manipulating the world. So what I was thinking, I'm like, holy crap, man. Like if I just get a hold of their teachings, like I can pretty much use it to control the world. Now it's actually crazy, this guy, Manly Palmer Hall, so he actually wrote some books that kind of talk about the teachings that they teach in Freemasonry. Now one of those books is called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. So I just went on ChatGPT and I was like, okay, so give me some actionable golden nuggets from the book. So the book is pretty long and it's pretty annoying to read. Like for those of you who don't want to read it, I'm going to summarize it for you. So basically it talks about all these things right here, like literally all these things. Now I was reading these things and I was just like, okay, but these things are actually known. But what's crazy is that as soon as I saw these things, I was like, it just confirms everything I know, which is actually insane. So one of the things that it talks about is that there are infinite worlds. So at every single moment, there are infinite worlds, and it's you who gets to pick which world do you want to be in. Like there's actually a version of you who's like completely homeless, and there's a version of you who's like one of the richest people in the world. And then there's a version of you who's sitting in a kitchen making videos on YouTube. And the way you get to pick which version of you do you want is just through your thoughts and your feelings, through your consciousness. So it's crazy, like I knew all these things, but just seeing that this is the stuff that Freemasons use just gives it so much more power, right? Now, if you don't really understand what I'm talking about, let me show you exactly with a demonstration. So just imagine there's like a little guy right here. So this guy is actually you, okay? And now this guy is playing, he's basically shooting bows. You know, like those bows and arrows, that's what he's shooting. So this right here is the bow and arrow. You want to hit this target right here, right? Listen, you want to hit this target. So any little changes that you do right here, literally any little change. Like if you move it this way, or if you move it this way, or this way, or if you just move it this way or this way, it's going to change exactly where it's going to go. Like if I move this thing, for example, this way right here, and then I shoot, it's going to go like this. So it's going to hit here. Now, if I just move it, like for example, this way, it's going to shoot like it's going to go here. What I'm trying to say is like every little thing that you do is going to change your entire destiny. Now, the changes that are happening here, you could basically call that thoughts. Like these are the thoughts right here. And then here, the stuff that's actually changing is just your destiny, like your reality, the world that you're actually living in. So basically, if I want like a completely different reality, well, all I gotta do is just like start thinking different thoughts. Now, some of you are just gonna be like, okay, but this is like new age stuff. This is basically, it's one of those like hippie teachings. It's not really hippie teachings. Because think about it. Whenever you're having thoughts, immediately after that, there is a desire and then there's an action. But the action only comes because of the thoughts. So if you want to think of a formula, if you want to see like why your life right now is like good or bad, well, okay, life literally equals. So this is T, this is thoughts, but this is positive thoughts minus T, but this is negative thoughts. So positive thoughts minus negative thoughts equals your life, which is like, if you want to literally just look at a formula, this is the formula. Now, let's just say, for example, you have very little positive thoughts, but you have a bunch of negative thoughts. Well, obviously, your life is going to become negative, right? Now, okay, let's just say you have like a bunch of positive thoughts minus your negative thoughts. Well, your life is literally going to be positive thoughts. Positive life. Like, it's literally that simple. So this is one of the things that they teach you in Freemasonry. You actually have multiple worlds, and every world is like it's here right now, and all you gotta do is just pick it with your thoughts. So this is here where people start talking about like visualization, for example. Now listen, Habibi, you can actually do a lot with visualization. And I'm not just literally talking about like you sitting down and then just like imagining some good stuff happening. That's not what I mean. Like you do know, this is something that even Tate talked about. If you're literally just sitting here, like if you just sit, and then you start Close your eyes and you start thinking of like you being at war and like you have a sword and you're killing somebody and you're chopping their head off and like you're stabbing them and all that stuff. That's going to increase your testosterone. Like just literally that thought, because your subconscious is going to think that you're in the battlefield. Your subconscious is going to think that you're actually fighting. Think about it. If you're literally just sitting down, another example, if you're literally just sitting down and then you start to imagine you being on like a super tall building, just overlooking the entire city, what's going to happen? You'll start getting those thoughts. If you don't believe me, listen, if you're literally just sitting down like once again, and it's like, you think of, for example, like you're the opposite sex, like you think of a girl if you're a guy, what's going to happen? Pretty sure what's going to happen, right? So I'm literally telling you, like your thoughts actually, they create things. Your thoughts are valuable. And where do thoughts come from? Thoughts come from the attention. So whatever you actually look at and whatever you hear, it creates thoughts. And this is crazy. This is why you shouldn't be putting your attention to, for example, like porn. You shouldn't be putting your attention to negative music. All that stuff creates thoughts. And if that's creating thoughts, as a result, it's creating feelings, and then it's creating actions. And what's happening? It's the same formula. Positive thoughts minus negative thoughts equals your life. And this is what I mean. Like if your whole life you're just watching porn and you're listening to negative music, well, you're just increasing your negative thoughts, man. What is that resulting to? Negative life. Now look, the reason why Freemasons are learning about this stuff, and it's so important, because when they're learning about this stuff, they know how people work. They know how to control society, which basically means if you start instilling thoughts into society, well, what's going to happen? The society itself is going to create its own future. So if you're putting fear in society, what's going to happen? Inflation, houses increasing, like literally all the negative things that you want. And this is just insane stuff right here. Like they know exactly how to manipulate society and how to manipulate the future of society. And they literally just use the people themselves. Like they're not doing anything crazy. All they're doing is just, for example, putting in the media, oh, there's aliens. Oh, there's like COVID happening or something. And that just creates fear in people. So when there's fear in people, what's happening? Just more things coming out that give people more fear. It's that simple, bro. Now, another thing that they learn in Freemasonry, by the way, I'm not a Freemason, just so you guys know. I was just so curious. I went to this guy and I just started reading some of the books. And I'm like, bro, this stuff is actually insane. This is exactly what they're using to control us. So another thing that they know is basically the matrix. And by the matrix, like, yeah, you could say it's like the stuff that Tate talks about, but in reality, they think that the entire world is like a matrix. So behind every little thing that you see in your life, like every little object that you see, every human being that you see, behind everything, there is only one essence. Like everything only comes from one essence. So everything is actually an illusion. Everything appears different, but in reality, it's all the same. Like I showed this example before. So it's like, this is the movie analogy. Now you see, it's like, this is the movie, right? Like this is the screen, and then this is the projector. So the projector has the light. So everything that you see here, like the man, the woman, the dog, the objects, the cars, literally everything here in the movie, this is life. But it's like all of this is only coming from one source, which is the light. So if you know how to manipulate the light, you know how to actually manipulate your reality. This is like some high level stuff, but I'm just trying to show you like an analogy so you can understand what I mean. So here it's like if you want to change the whole movie, well, all you got to do is just change what's within the light. That's all you got to do. And the way you change this, Habibi, the way you change this is once again, thoughts and feelings. Thoughts and feelings are the language of the universe. This is crazy stuff, by the way. And look, if you want to relate this back to Islam, there is literally a hadith Qudsi. So hadith Qudsi is like one of those sayings that came from the Prophet, peace be upon him, but it's implying that Allah is actually the one that said it. So basically here it says, Allah the Almighty said, I am as my servant thinks I am. Habibi, this is crazy stuff here. Like if you're thinking that God is putting a bad life to you, and you live your whole life thinking that, for example, God is against you, and all of life is against you, what are you going to experience? More bad things. Because who's the controller of all these things? Who is the controller of the light? It's God. It's Allah. And by the way, in Freemasonry, they also know that. This whole thing, the all-seeing eye, they believe this is the eye of the watcher, the eye of the creator. Like, by the way, you can't really enter to become a Freemason unless you actually believe in a higher power. But now the opposite is true. If you think that Allah is always going to be blessing you, if you think that Allah is always going to give you more wealth, if you think Allah is actually going to give you like such a good life, then you will be getting such a good life. Again, it just goes back to your thoughts and feelings. Like most people, Habibi, most people when they make dua to Allah, when they actually pray to Allah, they're like, oh, my dua never gets accepted. It's because you're saying something, but you're feeling another thing. Like, how are you going to be receiving, like, listen, if you're making dua for like $1 million, but then deep within you, you believe and you feel that you're not worthy of $1 million, how is Allah going to come and give that to you? You're sending the wrong signal. Like, look, we've been given such a great responsibility. Like, wherever we put our attention, is whatever we're going to be creating after. So if you're always putting your attention to stuff like, oh, I hate those freaking bills, I hate paying all these bills that come from whatever. If you keep hating the bills and stuff, what's gonna happen? More bad bills. But the opposite is true. If you're always like, bro, I'm just the type of guy that always makes money. Always makes money. What's gonna happen? You'll always make money. Bro, for me, as soon as I started changing my mindset, like as soon as I started changing this whole, like these beliefs within me, everything started to change. Like this stuff actually works. And it can work in an instant too. And by the way, this is where there was the story at the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where there was this guy who, whenever he enters the masjid, whenever he enters the mosque, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he would be like, this guy is guaranteed Jannah. This guy is guaranteed heaven. And everyone was like, how is this guy guaranteed heaven? Like, what is he doing that's so different? One of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, they were like, you know what? I need to go see exactly what this guy is doing. So he created like a scenario where the guy himself, he invited the companion to his house so he can basically live with him for a few nights. So the companion lived with the guy that was guaranteed Jannah for a few nights, and he just saw him living his life. But he was just so confused because it's like, he just thinks like this guy is not doing more than me. This guy is not praying more than me. He's not fasting more than me. He's not doing more worship than me. How is this guy guaranteed Jannah and I'm not? So he actually went and asked him. He was like, look, Habibi, I don't know if they said Habibi back in the day. But basically he was just like, I came to sleep over with you because I'm just confused because the Prophet ﷺ, he said that you're guaranteed Jannah. But I don't get it because you're doing the same stuff as us. So what are you doing that's so different? So the guy himself, he was like, I think the only thing that I do different is that before I go to sleep, I forgive everybody and then I go to sleep. I don't go to sleep with like a vengeful heart, with a heart that wants vengeance, or with a heart that's negative, or sleep with negative thoughts. He only goes to sleep when he's in a good state by forgiving everybody, which is, Habibi, this is so important. Now, okay, let's just say no one actually like wronged you, or you think no one wronged you. You still have yourself to forgive. Like you don't live your life doing everything perfect. So then if you're going to sleep with like a negative mindset, like let's just say like throughout that day, somehow you messed up doing whatever, like you messed up doing a task and you lived your whole life just feeling guilty about that task that you messed up, and then you go to sleep in that state, well, what's going to happen, Habibi? You're just going to keep getting more stuff that you mess up. So if you go to sleep in a state where you just don't forgive yourself, or you go to sleep in a state where it's like negative, what's going to happen? Just more negativity. If you're ever wondering if you're living a good life, or if you're just like in a good state with God, with the Creator, just look at your feelings. Look at your feelings and look at your thoughts. If your feelings are negative, that just shows, that's literally a signal from Allah that you're on a negative state. If your feelings are good, then you're in a good state. And by the way, you don't really have to only do bad things to experience a negative state or to experience negative feelings. Habibi, did you know? Just the water itself that you drink can give you either negative feelings or positive feelings. That's why I'm talking about spring water all the time. That's why I'm saying, like, don't be drinking tap water because it just has so much bad stuff in it. And then when you drink it, you know when I used to drink like filtered water from the fridge, literally from like that fridge right there, or like tap water from like the tap right there somewhere. I don't know. I used to just like randomly just start feeling guilty, like randomly just start feeling bad or like scared, even though nothing's really happening in the world. I'm just feeling scared or guilty. I'm like, why the heck is that? As soon as I started switching to like actual natural spring water, like I just don't get these feelings anymore. And let me show you. Come here, bro. Come here. Let me just show you something. I need to show you something right here. So this is my fridge, right? So I'm just gonna show you my fridge. So you see right here, look at this. Spring water, spring water, spring water. Forget about this. This was just something my friends brought over yesterday. But like, look, spring water, spring water, spring water. This is raw milk. But this whole thing is filled with spring water. It just shows like this stuff. I don't take this stuff lightly, man. Like spring water has so much minerals. Like there's no way it's not gonna give you bad feelings. And yes, like even just the food that you eat. I know I was eating like some fries and some shawarma in the fridge. But okay, it's just maybe one time thing you can do it. But you want to make sure like your diet is clean. You want to make sure like your diet is actually like it's not always junk food. I'm not saying cut out all junk food, even though that's good. But you can't live your whole life just eating junk food. So this is important. The stuff that you see, the things that you hear, the food that you consume, even you could say like the things that you touch. All of these things, they create thoughts and they create feelings. As a result, it literally creates your whole reality. Like you need to be aware of these things. This stuff is so important. If you're looking at your life right now and your life is horrible, again, just go back to the formula. Go back to this formula, Habibi. Positive thoughts minus negative thoughts equals your life. The Freemasons use this formula. I know I just made this formula up, but it's just for you to actually see. It still relates to the same idea I'm talking about Freemasonry. But I hope this is making sense. Like, Habibi, this stuff right here can actually change your life. So, dang, man. This guy, Manly P. Hall. I hope this video was helpful. If this video was helpful, Habibi, just let me know.